life has taught me, when I was young and I would read these traditions, I would always think to myself, is this really a challenge to only speak good? I mean, really, seriously, there's so many hadiths in which the Prophet ﷺ is counseling and teaching the same thing. And I would think to myself, is this really a challenge? And then life has taught me it is such an enormous challenge. In fact, one of the, what people choose to speak about is a reflection of what they value, what they celebrate, what they perpetuate, what they demean, what they detract, and because we are social animals, we are very much affected by what people say to us and what people say about us. But it is not just what people say to us and what people say about us, but what we in our speech patterns give value to and celebrate, and what we in our speech patterns demean and degrade. So life has taught me that when we honor certain social insignia, it's nothing but speech. Put differently, when we say such and such degree is impressive, that's speech. That's speaking. We chat with each other and we're impressed by something and we're not impressed by something. That communicates meaning and value. When we say this is the type of person you marry, this is not the type of person you marry, that's speech. We are constantly socially communicating. We're impressed by this choice, we're not impressed by this choice. We are constantly creating and supporting the construction of values. When we talk and say something like freedom is important, liberty is important, or we don't talk about liberty as important, it's speech. So much of what it turns out that we do is speech. So when my understanding of the Prophet ﷺ, when he says فَكُفَّ لِسَانَكَ إِلَّا مِنْ خَيْرٍ, that don't allow your tongue to say anything but what is khair, what is good. It's only took ages to truly understand the depth of this advice, because through our speech, we can reinforce superficiality. We can make what is superficial the center of the universe, or we can do the opposite. Through our speech, we can elevate what is wrong, or we can degrade what is right. Subhanallah, I mean, and that is why when I've always this expression tawasaw, because tawasaw linguistically means not just in action, but what you constantly talk about. So tawasaw is like what you counsel one another about. Tawasaw bil sabr wa tawasaw bil marhama. It's as if what you choose to talk about, what you choose to endorse, what you choose to approve of in your speech, in your communications, is to counsel one another, to advise one another, to bolster one another, to support one another. About what? About sabr. So when someone comes and you say, oh, no, oh, you're entitled to much better than that. oh, you should be making much more money. Ask yourself, are you counseling sabr or are you counseling entitlement? Because if you truly believe you are going to be held to account, there's moral responsibility in the hereafter for whatever you say. And do you counsel one another towards marhama? Because that's a real question. Do you actually think of what mercy and compassion, what goodness calls for, what is beautifully good calls for? And is that what you advocate? Or because we often, the temptation is to cater to the lowest base of one another's ego. And the cheap way of gaining friendship, the cheap way of gaining friendship and gaining favor with human beings, please listen to what I'm saying. Please reflect upon what I'm saying. The cheap way of gaining favor is to support the sense of outrage. That is the cheapest, most base way. It's immorally base, decrepit way. You support their sense of outrage. The vast majority of times, 99.9% of the time, it's not because we have contemplated the true vestiges of justice, but simply because outrage comes from egoism. And we constantly, the way we tell someone, see, I'm on your side, is to say, yes, you have a right to be outraged. Be angry. Be livid. It is so much harder to counsel al-marhama, sabr and marhama. And it's so much harder because in a morally decrepit society, you're going to end up a loner. You're going to end up alone. But it's a choice you have to make.